Everybody was out in their yards. I lived in Carl Junction, between Joplin and Carl Junction in the country. And they're like, oh my gosh, you know, a tornado has just taken out Rangeline. It's hit Academy, it's hit Walgreens, it's hit the Home Depot, it's gone. So I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna go up to the hospital because I'm sure they need people. I went up to the hospital and my mom and kids were with me. They were gonna drop me off and go somewhere else. Like, we just weren't getting the magnitude of what had happened.
Kelsey Morrison is an Air Force veteran who trained as an aero evacuation EMT. She worked in clinical documentation at St. John's Hospital at the time of the tornado, but she jumped into action using her ICU and ER nursing routes to help patients after the tornado tore through Joplin.
It was just chaos. There was ambulances, people coming up with people in the back of trucks, just crazy. People carrying kids that were unconscious, you know, bleeding. And I was just kind of looking around for someone I knew to make sure I was where I was supposed to be, because it was just like I don't know, it was just like, it was all fiction. It just seemed very surreal. And I finally spotted the helicopter in the parking lot upside down, and I was like, okay, I'm definitely at the hospital. There was actually people were arriving that had already expired, you know, in the back of trucks, because people just didn't know what to do with them, and they were injured from various places in the path of the tornado.
While dozens of critically injured patients were arriving at St. John's, Morrison was tasked with taking the lower priority patients home. Some of those people had been in the emergency room when the tornado hit.
I was just putting people in my truck to take them home, and not even knowing, no one knew where we were going, you know, because you couldn't tell. Like I said, there was no landmarks. Where she told us her house was, there was no house there.
In the hours following the tornado, Morrison helped at makeshift triage centers at Memorial Hall and McCallie High School.
We left Memorial Hall and set up another one at McCallie, where I spent about a week at, just staying all night, taking care of people that were displaced. Ambulances were lined up and people would bring us oxygen, but we wouldn't have any tubing, or we wouldn't have the little green adapters, we all called them Christmas trees, to be able to administer the oxygen. And it just kind of went on, gosh, what seemed like for days and weeks. Up at the Catholic school with patients, and I thought, I better call my boss and tell her that I'm going to be late tomorrow because, you know, there's been a tornado. So I called my boss and I'm like, hey, you know, the hospital got hit by a tornado. And she's like, yeah, I've heard that. You know, it was like nobody was getting the magnitude of it.
The place Morrison worked every day was blown away in minutes, and she had to come to terms with the fact that things would never be the same.
You know, you can't come back inside. You're probably not going to be coming back inside. So at that point, we're like, well, what do we do for work? Where are we going to report to? How do we, you know, do anything? I had various things on my desk, and what I got back was nothing compared to what I lost. You know, I had shoes and glasses and things like that, but I got 4 or 5 things back in a box several months down the road.
St. John's Hospital used to be right where I'm standing. Now there's a memorial park here. The hospital took a direct hit from the EF5 tornado, and the tornado was only about a mile from the other major hospital in town.
It just wasn't the same. It's just never been the same. You know, you don't have those close-knit relationships. A lot of people left Joplin. It's different.
Morrison herself left the Joplin area a few years ago. Now she lives in Rogers with her family. But the memories tied to her experience in the hours and days following the Joplin tornado will never leave her.
What do you think changed most in you as a person having experienced that?
I realized what was important. And it wasn't things, and it wasn't objects. I think I just saw so many people lose so much, and so much death, and so much devastation, and they still came out of it. I think people, I don't think they want to forget it, but I don't think they want to remember it. You know, it's one of those things, and you'll never forget it.
In Joplin, with photojournalist Kelsey Jacobson, Emma Claybrook, 4029 News.